put into a neighborhood called Uptown. Uptown is a neighborhood in Chicago. And for those who don't know Uptown, at the time, back in 2001 or so, it wasn't the best neighborhood on the planet, right? It was surrounded by a lot of violence, robberies and all sorts of crazy things that you wouldn't want anybody, right? Anybody on this planet to be involved with. And unfortunately for me, when I came to America and moved to Uptown, the only people that I got exposed to were some of those that were involved in some of these activities in Uptown. Right. So what happened when you surround yourself with 5 people, the top 5 people that do something similar? Well, guess what? You become one of them. So it's a very, very tough time. Went through a lot of trials and tribulations. Played the game survival. Right, the game survival. Now it wasn't quite as good as Squid Game. I don't know if you guys have watched Squid Game on Netflix yet. It's a really, really good show. So it wasn't quite that extreme, but I did have to learn how to survive. Right. And it was tough. I mean, I can share a whole lot today, but I know we don't have the time to go through all of it. It was very, very tough. Ultimately went back to Ghana on a trip, just a family trip. First time going in 8 years. So at the age of 16, I took a trip to Ghana. It's so ironic. Every 8 years, something major happens in my life. I don't know how that happened, but 8 years. At the age of 8, came to America for the first time. And then at the age of 16, went to Ghana, and that changed my life forever. Right. That changed my life forever because the things that I was seeing, people selling clothes, shoes, apples, whatever it took to make ends meet, I finally understood why they were doing that. It wasn't to live a lavish, abundantly lifestyle. It was to actually feed their families. If these folks didn't sell on the streets, they wouldn't be able to feed their families. And I said, you know what? I'm meant to help these people. I'm meant to basically inspire and support people like that, the super hungry, right? In order to take the resources we have on this planet, the infinite resources we have, in order to create an abundant, right? Not a scarcity, but an abundant lifestyle. From that day moving forward, everything in my life became better. Right? Everything became better. I came back to the United States. I tapped closely into my faith. I got very, very close to God. I actually read half the Bible when I was 16 years old. I surrounded myself with more like-minded friends, mentors, right? I started attending church and eventually became a youth leader in my church. And life became a lot better. I started becoming on a positive side of life. And that allowed me to do things in a better way, in more light, essentially. And so with that, I wanted to help people when it comes to their money, when it comes to their finances. Fast forward, I then got accepted to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in Illinois. I was the very, very first person from my high school in my entire high school history, Uplift Community High School, to get accepted to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Ended up studying accounting. So I got an accounting degree and I got my bachelor's and a master's degree in accounting. And when I was at the U of I was building a business plan, a tax firm, and I was also building a real estate company. Right now, they're known as Badu Tax Services LLC and also Badu Investments LLC. When I was at the U of I spent an hour a day doing research on my business, right? Learning my craft, learning the business, essentially. Spent an hour a day doing that. And then I was also intern at PricewaterhouseCoopers or PwC, and eventually got my bachelor's degree in 2014 and then my master's degree in 2015. And then I started working full-time in 2015. I also had passed the CPA exam after I got my master's degree. So when I was at PwC, it was an overall decent experience. But on September 2nd, 2016, something magical happened. Right? Something magical happened. Something told me to turn in my 2-week notice. I got fed up, a lot of various reasons. And I said, you know what, let me go ahead and launch my business. So on September 2nd, 2016, I turned in my 2-week notice at PwC. And then on September 16, 2016, I became a full-time entrepreneur. Life has become 10 times better ever since. Fast forward to 2021, we now run a CPA firm, a tax firm known as Badu Tax Services LLC, that has a team of about 20 people. We have over 2,000 clients across all 50 states in the US and also in over 25 countries. And it took a lot to get there. It took a lot to get there. Now, one thing that I learned along the journey is the importance of giving back, right? Giving back. It's not when you make it, quote unquote, whatever that means, right, that you should give back. Some people think, oh, let me start giving back when I'm a millionaire or a billionaire. And I say, well, if you aren't giving back now and you only got, let's say, $10,000 to your name, what makes you think you're going to give back when you have $1 million next to your name? Yeah, people can evolve over time, right? But habits stick. Habits tend to stick. Your principles tend to stick with you. You know, you can get lucky and evolve over time, but understand that when it comes to the concept of giving back, you should be giving back immediately. And one thing I learned is that when you give something, you tend to receive 10 times in return, right? Whether it's given to your church, you're paying tithes, whether it's given to a charity, a nonprofit, and it can be time or money. And let me share another story. You know, so basically, I started attending my church that I go to now. It's called Christ Center of Hope Assemblies of God. I started attending that back in 2016, right? I had left my other church, my Methodist church, you know, just wanted something a little bit different. And I saw a very, very dynamic and collaborative group that I wanted to be a part of. And so with that, it was one day I decided to join a choir, right? I decided to join a choir. This was back in end of 2018. We had like a program. I decided to join a choir and give back in a way of singing, basically. So I still sing in a choir now. We actually have a program tonight that I'll be attending and singing at. We have a church program. And long story short, it was one day back in February of 2019, I gained the courage to ask my beautiful bride, my beautiful wife, Miss Yvonne, I was able to ask her out on a date, right? It was one day at church. And how that even happened was I gave my first set of tithes to the church. True story, by the way. I gave my first set of tithes to the church. This was back in February of 2019. And God gave me the courage to ask this wonderful woman out on a date. You know, fast forward, we eventually got married and lived happily ever after. Ever since then, I haven't stopped giving tithes. Every single week, faithfully give tithes. Even if I'm on my last leg, right? I'm still giving back because I know the value of what it takes to give back to the church. And now also giving back in the terms of financial literacy, giving out scholarships. So my thing for the group today is, I know we only have a short amount of time, is try to give back to society. Like now, don't wait until you quote unquote make it, you know, give back now. If you got $100, give $10 away towards either your church and or charity. You can combine the two. If you have a valuable expertise, if you have a valuable skill set, then give back your time in whatever it is that you do. So if you're really, really good with money, well, start teaching people about money. Start teaching financial literacy. For me, I believe one of the reasons why our tax firm became successful is because we gave free, and we still give free education to the community. Every single week, we host at least 2 webinars, right? Because when you give, you receive at least 10 times more in return, right? So my advice to you is give back. And then if you're in the United States, I'm not too sure about the Ghana tax code, but if you give to a charity, if you give money to a charity, you do get a tax deduction. You do get a tax deduction if you claim itemized deductions on your income tax return. So whatever you give, you get a dollar for dollar tax deduction on your tax return. So whether it be tithes, whether it be offering, whether it be money you're giving out in scholarships. For me, I give out scholarships each year through the National Association of Black Accountants, and then also the Badu Foundation, where we take, this year we took 30 kids through a financial literacy boot camp where they were able to learn about budgeting, saving, investing, and scholarships, right? Each student received a $500 scholarship. Next year, we plan to have 100 students in the program, right? So the thing is, it's not about, oh, I've made it, so let me start giving, or let me start giving then. You should be giving back as you go along, right? As you go along in life, you should certainly be giving back. You get 10 times in return whatever you give. And I've experienced that firsthand. So it's not about when you've made it that you should give back. Instead, it's about, hey, I'm genuinely interested. I genuinely care about society, right? So I want to give back. And one final note I want to leave you with today is, what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want your legacy to look like? Do you want to be known as someone who never gave, was stingy, bougie, whatever term you want to put it? Or do you want your name to be remembered as someone who gave back so much that it was more than enough for the world? And so every day I challenge you to strive for the best. Give back as much as you can. You don't have to give it all. You don't have to give 100%, but give back as much as you can. And so with that, let me just go ahead and share my contact information. If you ever need help with anything, any tax services, any financial literacy, my email address is jb@badutaxservices.com. Once again, that's jb@badutaxservices.com. Phone number is 773-819-5675. 773-819-5675. Our social media is @Badu Tax Services. And then my personal one is @jbadu32, JBADU32. And then the website is badutaxservices.com, or the Infinite Resource website, the jeffbadu.com website. So with that, I'll leave maybe 5 minutes for some Q&A, and also I'm sure some wrap up, and I'll pass it back to Peter. Thank you guys for joining today.
Awesome presentation. So when you give something, you get it back 10 times. And that was a powerful statement. And so at this moment, we will take questions. If you have questions for our first speaker, Mr. Prince Nyako, who spoke on insurance. Our second speaker, Miss Mimi Apia, and Jeff Bedu talking on gift planning. So if you have any question, you can unmute and ask your question, or you can drop it in the chat box. Yes. And we are also reminding you that this month is Estate and Gift Planning Awareness Month. And so this workshop was actually in support of the Improving Financial Awareness and Financial Literacy movement in Ghana, and October being Estate and Gift Planning. October being Estate and Gift Planning. So if you have a question, you can drop it in the chat box and the speakers will respond to your question. But before that, let me share something brief on estate planning. Estate planning. You may be wondering what at all is estate planning. And I want to throw more light on estate planning. So when you talk about estate, you are talking about all your properties, all your assets that you have acquired, and you need to plan for all these properties, because one day you will transition from this earth, or you will be incapacitated, and you need people who can take charge of your estate who can take charge of your properties, your assets. And so you need to do some forward thinking, you need to do some planning. So when you talk about estate planning, it's a collection of documents that protect your assets and personal properties, and also mandate people who should take charge and who should inherit all your assets and properties. So there are a lot of documents when it comes to estate planning. You need to put together your will, your power of attorney. We have the healthcare directive, and then we have the trust. So will is a document that actually protects your properties and will actually protect your properties and identify who receive which assets in the course of your death or you being incapacitated. Who should inherit what? Who should receive what? That is what a will does. It also provides guidance for your children. So if you are no more, who should take care of your children? A will will state all that. It also states an executor, that is someone who oversees your estate planning process. So as young professionals, as young people, we need to plan our estate. We need to start thinking about, okay, so if I leave this earth today, who takes charge of my properties, my bank account, my insurance, my investment account? Who should actually oversee it? We need to plan for that. And then when you talk about the power of attorney, this is a document that states who should act as you. So let's say you are giving someone the mandate, or you are giving someone the authority to act on your behalf. So when you are no more, someone should be able to act on your behalf. So if you want to do that, then you need to raise a document that we call the power of attorney. And the power of attorney mandates a person to act on your behalf. And you can also raise a trust. A trust actually controls how and when your assets are distributed. How and when your assets are distributed. So these are some of the documents you can read when it comes to estate planning. What are the 3 critical functions of an estate plan? 1, it protects your assets from your family and other heirs. So estate planning will protect your assets for your family and the people that you want to give your properties to. It gives you a say in who receive your belongings. Yes, estate planning will give you a say in who should receive your belongings. It allows you to choose who will make your decisions for you. And then how to get started with your estate planning. So how do I even start my estate planning? Begin to calculate your net worth. Mimi spoke a lot about this. It's all about analyzing your situation, knowing your net worth and knowing the asset that you have, the financial assets, personal properties, and document your liabilities as well. Ask a financial professional to refer you to a qualified estate planning attorney. Yes, so you need to see an estate planning attorney, or in Ghana, we say a lawyer, to help you put your estate planning together. Determine or update your beneficiaries. So you need to determine who gets what, who should receive what. So once you go to the estate planner, you have these names in place, you have what you want to give to each of the persons, so that together with the estate planner, you can put your estate planning together. And then lastly, you have to revisit your estate plan regularly. Yes, so maybe you want to change your estate planning, you want to do some updates, you should be able to do that as and when you want to do it. So October is Estate and Gift Planning Awareness Month. Let's start thinking about our estate planning. Let's start thinking about our gift planning. And let's talk to our friends, our colleagues, our families, everyone around us. Let's start talking to them about estate and gift planning and why it is important to keep your estate and gift plans in place. Jeff Bedu spoke about you need to give out, you need to give your time, you need to give your resources, you need to give your knowledge, expertise to society to help better the society. Prince spoke about insurance. You need to protect your future, and insurance is one way you can protect your future. Mimi was superb about talking about retirement. We need to prepare for the future. We need to prepare for retirement. So without any question, I think we will end our section today. We will end our section today. It has been a great discussion. We have learned a lot from insurance to retirement planning to gift planning. And I want to encourage all of us to put this thing into practice. Practice them. Let's make sure we are getting our financial house in order. So we will end here and we will take our music from Kweku Freak to remind us that we need money, and when we get the money, we shouldn't waste our money. Yeah, so give me some few minutes and let me upload Kweku Freak songs and let's wrap up. So Prince, if you're on the call, your last statement, and Mimi will also give out a last statement and we will call it a day.
Okay, so Peter, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me, Peter?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so my last words will be that everybody on the call. Okay, so my last words to our members on the call is that a lot have been said today. I mean, the financial journey is something that we need to take it seriously, because it's very painful that people earn better salaries, but they really lack financial education to make sure that those monies they are earning can be put to good use, so that at the end of the day, it can come back to them. So always join us on our workshops that we do to get knowledge and make sure that those knowledge, we will not just use those knowledge, but we will make sure that we put the knowledge that we acquire from everything that we talk on the Yfs workshop into practice. And I believe that when we do that, we can be able to put our financial in good perspective. Thank you very much for attending. I'm really grateful for the thoughts that was shared by Mimi and also by Bedu. I'm only grateful for them, and I look forward to another exciting workshop in next month.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome.
Yes, I have a question.
Mimi, let's
Can you
hear
hear
me.
me?
Yes, we are on the call, please.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the estate planning and succession.
Okay.
You know, in Africa, when a patriarch dies, the estate is divided according to the siblings. So as part of financial planning, do you maybe advocate for the estate maybe to be converted into a limited liability company, so that maybe you can the state can be able to generate more and more resources or investments in the future?
Professionals, they will give them the expert advice they need to plan the estate that has been left for them.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, my network.
But from my observation is that if you go maybe to the US or Europe, you'll find many old companies which have been handed from generation to generation. As Africans, can't we do, or can't we have such kind of an arrangement?
Yeah, I think we can have, but you see, it's quite unfortunate that in Africa, most of the things about financial education, planning, and most of the things are normally left to the individual, unless you have corporate people who have set up organizations that looks at that. Okay, so it is something that it can be done in Africa, and we are planning on coming up with something like that to help people manage their finances, give expert advice. So it's a work in progress. I believe as time mutates, we will get to that level where we will get organization as Bedu is doing in the US, that will be set up purposely to help people plan their estate and also their finances. So I believe we will get to that level.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
All right. So you just stay in contact with us, and I will be updating you as we go by, so that at least you can invite us to wherever you are, and we can get to talk to people, and then we can get it from there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right. So Abigail, please, your last words. Hello, Mimi.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry about that.
Yeah, your last words.
Yeah, I think it's been a great session. It's just good to remember that our financial well-being is not limited to just investment. There are so many components that come together to make sure that, we are comfortable or we are financially well. So it's high time we start throwing more light on all these aspects and paying attention to it, so that they will all come together to ensure that we have a comfortable life and we are able to leave something for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so I want to thank all the speakers for their insightful presentation, and all the participants for staying on and being part of this workshop. This was put together by the Pecan Capital Consulting, and we are committed to helping you get your financial house in order. So get in touch with us on all social media platforms, Pecan Consulting, and you connect with us. Thank you all and have a good evening.